video and all other videos on this channel are for entertainment purposes only. The content of this video and all other videos on this channel are the opinions of the creator only and do not constitute legal, trading, investment, or financial advice of any kind. Investing carries a high level of risk and the majority of retail clients lose money. Do not invest any capital unless you understand the risks and you are prepared to lose it all. Right, hello and welcome to Camel Finance. I'm your boy Camel, and today I think we can categorize as good vibes, happy days, and I want to spend more time than I usually would on the dollar. The dollar has finally reached a point from a cycle perspective where we can potentially put downside scenarios on the table. So what I want to do is spend a little bit of time there showing you exactly what I'm seeing, what we will use as confirmation for a Dixie rollover, for a softening dollar, and why this is so significant. Because if the dollar keeps doing what it's doing, then we have to put on the table early tops, a bull market that is very nearly completed, perhaps just has one final upside squeeze left in it. And we also have to put on the table some nastier scenarios like deflation, a recession, and all of that kind of thing. But if indeed what we can find now is a daily cycle low, fail the cycle, and then set up a decline into a weekly cycle low, we actually might have a shot at extending this bull market out later into the year. We actually might be able to start to have increased confidence that we can scratch off the Q1 top idea. So I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time and show you that and then talk about the implications. But first, okay, we've got a whole heap of good vibes to get through, so I hope you're going to enjoy today. I did want to make a quick announcement. Me and CPM, aka Uncle Andy, are going to be going live tonight at about 7 p.m. GMT, and that will be hosted on Uncle Andy's channel, the What Podcast. So please do head over there, hit that subscribe button. He's very nearly at 1,000 subscribers. I'd really appreciate it if you could help him get there. I will put a link to this channel in the pinned comment and the description of this video. And so if you want to hop on the live stream at 7 tonight and ask us a bunch of questions or just enjoy the chit chat, then by all means, please do so. So kicking things off with some good vibes, happy days, happy times, right? I want to play you this clip right here.
Do you intend to continue selling products that benefit yourself personally while you're president?
Well, I don't know if it benefited. I don't know where it is. I don't know much about it other than I launched it. I heard it was very successful. I haven't checked it. Where is it today?
You made a lot of money, sir.
How much?
Several $1 billion, it seems like, in the last several days.
Several billion? That's peanuts for these guys.
If indeed we live in a simulation, then this thing is bugging out, okay? We're reaching the maximum capacity of the hard drive. The information is getting to this point where it's grinding to a halt. It really needs a factory reset, right? What is going on? All I know is I'm really enjoying the show. I'm enjoying sitting back and looking at all of this stuff just unfold in front of me. And I hope you guys are too, because it's not going to go on forever, right? At some point, this whole thing's got to come tumbling down. And hopefully when it does, you know, we can have secured the bag, and we'll probably fondly remember these years for the rest of our lives. So that's what I would think. It seems absolutely crazy, but I'm enjoying the time, right? I'm enjoying the time. Now, here's where it gets even funnier to me personally. They've just filed an ETF for this Trump meme coin, as well as ETH, Bitcoin, Sol, XRP, Bonk, okay, because, of course, couldn't leave Bonk out, and Doge. Now, when I saw this, I was thinking, there's no way. There is no way this could be true. But sure enough, it is, okay? A Trump meme coin ETF is already in the works. Now, it doesn't mean this will get approved by any means, okay? It just means they filed for one. It could easily get rejected. And maybe what they're doing is just pushing their luck to see what they can get away with under the new SEC chair. But again, this speaks to the end stages, right? The fire in the madhouse. But once more, I think the best course of action here is to simply enjoy the show. We got more good vibes and news at the moment as Ross Ulbricht has been freed from prison. Trump did say he was going to free him on day one. And it seems for now, at least, he is kind of honoring his word there. So happy days again. We also have Bank of America CEO telling us the banking industry is going to embrace cryptocurrency if regulators allow it. And I would speculate they likely will allow it under the new government. So perhaps nobody here is bullish enough. Perhaps we are setting up for something absolutely insane. And it seems that the people with the deep pockets know this, or at least believe it. You can see new whales stepped into the market right around that weekly cycle low back here. And since then, the guys with the big pockets have been building enormous Bitcoin positions. Also of note here, whilst we've got a whole heap of people tempted to call tops right around this 110K level, whilst there's a whole heap of people speculating this thing can't go much higher than 120 or 130, the people with deeper pockets than all of us combined don't seem to believe that for one moment. When we look at something like the MVRV-Z score, again, it's good vibes and happy days. Notice how high we went in all prior instances of tops forming, all the way up here for the orange MVRV-Z score and the top price again. This time, a little bit of a lower high, but there is still plenty of space overhead for this metric to top, which again speaks to there being plenty of space overhead for Bitcoin to continue to squeeze to the upside. So happy days so far. And the last couple of things I want to point at is I've got this clip here of the Coinbase CEO talking about Bitcoin going to multiple millions per coin. Check this out.
Well, we have seen just incredible growth, and I think it hit an all-time high yesterday, so we feel very good about that. But I think over time we'll see Bitcoin get into the millions, multiple millions price range. I mean, it's being adopted by more and more institutional customers. The ETFs brought in a huge amount of inflow. If we get clear legislation passed in the US, that would be a big milestone. A strategic Bitcoin reserve, if the US took that path, probably the rest of the G20 would follow. In fact, I've discussed with a number of finance ministers here in Switzerland from different countries around the world, just the idea of a strategic Bitcoin reserve. They're getting more interested in it now because the US is looking into it. So I think Bitcoin has a long way to go. It's going to be the new gold standard out there, and crypto is really much bigger than that too.
So absolutely wild, wild times. The road up there is going to be very, very bumpy. It's going to be hard to weather. But it seems like if we can just continue to move in the direction we are moving, then the millions of dollars per coin is inevitable at some point. I think the real question is it years away? Is it decades away? Is it more? Of course, there are lots and lots and lots of factors at play. And so whether you're in the camp of people that believe this is some kind of massive super cycle and we're going to these insane numbers, or whether you're in the camp of people that think something more like this is in play, and that is that we're very nearly approaching the top. There's not much time or price action left in this bull market before we start to get a distribution at a top, similar to the schematic on the left. For me, I think the way we're going to be able to tell whether or not we've got to entertain this Q1 early top type deal, or whether we can pivot our stance and say nothing's ever different, we're going to continue to rip and roar all the way into late 2025, and we're going to be able to see insane performance, 2, 3, 4, 500k plus. For me, how we're going to be able to determine which one of those is in play, right? The early top or the huge super cycle all the way into the end of the year is going to be dependent on the Dixie, on the dollar strength here. And this is why I wanted to spend some time on this today. I believe we are currently setting up for a daily cycle low right inside of the window. That makes perfect sense. This thing will confirm with a trendline break above the red here, just like this last one did. Daily cycle low confirmed with a trendline break. We'll get rid of this in the interest of being tidy. So I think we're right around there to see a daily cycle low. And now, if we continue to print right translated daily cycles, as these arrows and this yellow squiggle kind of suggest, then I believe what we're doing is setting up for something much more like this: the early top, the distribution, the Q1 top, and thus the long and drawn out and extended bear market decline, spanning more than the 12 months we're used to seeing for Bitcoin. I also believe this would pressure risk assets in general, and I believe this would speak to a true meltdown, to a recession just around the corner, to a deteriorating economy, and moreover, towards disinflation returning very promptly, and ultimately a short period of asset price deflation. I believe that is what this would be signaling. But from a cycle perspective, we have finally reached a point in the cycle that I can put downside scenarios on the table. For the entire time we've been doing this, I've been saying there's no rhyme or reason to think that we are going to top in the Dixie, even though the whole way up people were calling for lower dollar. But we are finally here now, where if we get a daily cycle low confirm, left translation, and a fail, then we can actually say, okay, that is likely the top for the weekly cycle. Super, super, super important. So I've just gone in and used the blue arrow markers to label the weekly cycles. Notice the timing here. This weekly cycle measured low to low 23 weeks. The next one, 24 weeks. The next one, 23 weeks. And this one came in a little short at 16, 17 weeks. So then, of course, the question becomes, how far through this current weekly cycle are we? And this is why I think it's finally in that neighborhood where we could start to entertain any kind of daily cycle low failure here, could be marking the top of the weekly cycle and setting us up for a decline into a weekly cycle low, which, notice, if it was to form in line with the next upcoming daily cycle low here, okay, would give us a perfect 24-week weekly cycle low. So it may end up looking like this. Okay, in the bullish scenario, we break out of here, we print a higher high, we don't fail the cycle on the daily time frame. That would look like this: confirmed, higher high, right translation, decline, daily and weekly cycle low, and then this whole thing is still in bull mode, right? We're still in Q1 top. Seems likely to me going to be difficult for risk to rally strongly in this kind of environment, all of that kind of stuff. But of course, as I was saying, we do something like this, fail the cycle, then we have probably got a top for the weekly cycle, and we should expect to see a decline into a weekly cycle low in here, which would also give us our daily cycle low. And then notice we would be setting ourselves up potentially for a multi-week decline into a weekly cycle low, during which we may well see risk, the metals, Bitcoin, crypto, et al. All benefit very, very greatly from a softening dollar. So as I often say, nobody wants to see it more than me, okay? But first of all, we have got to find this daily cycle low in here, and then we've got to see what happens, because another right translation, and we have to put on the table that this thing is going to continue to be bullish, strong, and end up being a dollar milkshake wrecking ball in full force here. We have to put that on the table. However, if we can actually fail this cycle after we confirm the cycle low is in, then we can really, really, really start to say, maybe, just maybe, this is not the base case. Maybe, just maybe, that big rip-roaring bull run to the much higher numbers is on the table, and maybe, just maybe, this is going to form something much more akin to this. So it's been a long, long time since I've even considered talking bearishly on the Dixie, but from a cycle perspective, we have finally allowed enough time and enough cycles to play out where we can start to entertain this as one possible outcome. If we can indeed get a top for the Dixie as well, it stands to reason we might just see that counter trend bounce come out of here and then a rollover and a true breakdown in the 10-year yield and the 2-year yield. And once more, we may well just have an enormous risk-on moment right in front of us. So very, very interesting times. It's certainly all to play for. It could certainly go either way. For me, the Dixie and the yields will be the big tell for whether or not we're going to get that Q1 top or if we can put the extended bull market on the table. As it stands right now, Bitcoin consolidating a few percentage points underneath the prior all-time high. And notice how the sentiment here is pretty bad. To me, at least, it doesn't seem like we are sat right below all-time highs, getting potentially ready to see something like this coming, right? It just doesn't seem that way. Nobody seems happy. Everyone seems kind of jittery. Everyone seems kind of concerned. Lots of people want to call tops here. Lots of people seem quite salty and toxic. I don't know, maybe because they missed a great deal of the move. I'm not entirely sure. Or maybe it's because they're holding altcoins and those altcoins haven't performed how they thought they would. But the sentiment here seems quite sour to me, especially given that the chart looks like this, sat right around all-time highs, potentially looking for another double. So I like the setup. That's way better than having loads of greed and euphoria out there. And again, against that backdrop of a dollar that's potentially getting ready to move to the downside, gold looks like it is working on a nice, big, strong push here. We've been building exposure to the miners in the member section, so happy with how that's going. We should be due a shakeout, although no sign of it just yet, but we are exposed via trading positions in the silver and silver miners markets as well. So we got all bases covered here. Any dip that we should get, if we can finally see it, seems a little bit late, but any dip that we can get here should be the final opportunity to load the boat, get to full exposure, happy days. And of course, if the dollar's going to soften, then you best believe, okay, you best believe what is coming next for gold. And last but not least, it seems like we are getting ready to invalidate the yellow squiggle here. So I like what I'm seeing. I think any dips here in the stock market are for buying. I do think that we're probably going to get some kind of pullback in the not too distant future, followed by a nice bounce to the upside. The Dow Jones looking like it wants to recover its third angle, but at the moment we can't rule out breakdown, retest, resumption. So we'll see. Just playing a little bit patient. I think if we get a pullback and a rip, then that will be me getting back to full exposure in the stock market. But I've been playing super patient here because I want to build my exposure slowly as always. I've got plenty of crypto positions, crypto stocks, gold, mining stocks. So I'm in no real rush to hop in here. But as I said, I do think any kind of pullbacks and dips here are going to resolve to buys for me. And the VIX, I do wonder if we can get that softening Dixie, if we can get a big risk on moment, a big blow off top. Will we finally get down inside of my target window here? I've been very, very patient waiting for this. If we can do something like this and get down in between these two green lines for the VIX, then y'all know what time it is. I'm your boy Camel. I hope you're doing well in life. I hope you're having a fantastic week. Please do tune in to the What Podcast tonight at 7 p.m. Please do head over to the What Podcast, hit that subscribe button, help Uncle Andy get to 1,000 subscribers. Like I said, I'll put a link in the description and the pinned comment, and hopefully I'll see you there at 7. Till next time, all the best. Cheers. Bye.
Camel Finance, he's the man to see. Rocking the markets with his contrarian spree. Trades like a pro, no fear, no shame. Sticking to his guns in his money game. He's a badass, oh yes indeed. Camel Finance got the markets key. Taking us normies on a bump.